What is up, my Bray Gang otakus, man? My Bray Gang otakus. We are going to be checking out a video off of Swag Kage's page again, except this time it's titled "How Strong Is Pain." This was made about a week ago. And then we took it, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, we're going to go ahead and check this out. I think he's strong, but not as strong as like maybe five of my maybe five characters: Minato, Sage 6 Paths, Itachi, Madara. He's not stronger than any of those guys, or Nagato. But Pain himself, I don't know, man. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what's going on with this thing and see what's going on. And like what his opinion is and whatnot. Let me know who you guys think is the strongest character in Naruto down below, and honestly, give me some more suggestions for things you want me to check out and whatnot. But anyways, let's get into this, because as you all know, your boy loves him some Naruto. Okay, let's get into this and check it out.
It's definitely been a while since the last time I made one of these videos, and I figured for the next one I should focus on Pain. He's pretty important. He's like the final boss of the first half of Shippuden, and he's got one of the most complicated power sets in the whole series. Like, if there's anyone in Naruto that warrants this kind of analysis and discussion, it's definitely Pain. Now, if you're familiar with Naruto at all, like I assume you are, then you probably have at least a basic understanding of what makes picking him apart so difficult. The guy is essentially 6 different people at the same time, and more than a lot of other Naruto characters, what makes him so powerful and dangerous can't necessarily be measured or quantified. Now that said, it's safe to say that he is very, very strong. He wins almost every fight we see him take part in, and the one fight he does lose is under pretty unfavorable circumstances. When he fought Naruto, he was exhausted after having just blown up the entire Leaf Village, and Naruto was also constantly being fed information about him. I'll talk more about this fight in greater detail later in the video, but for now I want to focus specifically on that last part. Most people who fight Pain do so knowing almost nothing about him, and now this doesn't really have anything to do with how strong he is per se, but it is important because a lot of his abilities are made quite a bit more effective by the element of surprise. This is made pretty clear in his fight against Jiraiya, not just because of the way Jiraiya responds to seeing a lot of these abilities used for the first time, but also because of some behavior that Pain himself exhibits. To make sure the secrets of the Rinnegan stayed, well, secret, Pain went out of his way to crush Jiraiya's throat before he could say anything that he discovered to the Sage Toads. Then, of course, after the fight was over, and people bring this up all the time, Pain said that if Jiraiya had gone into the fight with everything that he learned over the course of the fight, he probably would have won. And now I don't think this is true at all. Jiraiya is just plain and simple not strong enough to beat Pain, no matter what advantages you afford him. But I do at least agree with the implication that having some amount of knowledge on his side beforehand would have allowed Jiraiya to put up a better fight. Of course, I do recognize that this sort of intel is valuable no matter who you're fighting, but the series doesn't really highlight its importance the same way it does with Pain with anyone else. Anyway, before we can understand why he benefits so much from nobody knowing how any of his jutsu work, we need to understand how these jutsu work ourselves. Since one of my most popular videos is dedicated to explaining the Rinnegan, and I don't want to repeat too much of what I said in that video here, I'm going to assume that most of you have at least a basic general understanding of it. The ability that Pain is most famous for is, of course, the 6 Paths of Pain, which allows him to remotely control up to 6 bodies at the same time. This is something that anyone with a Rinnegan should hypothetically be able to do, but the only characters we ever see using it are Obito and Nagato. In Nagato's case, at least, some of the paths are definitely weaker than others. As a matter of fact, you can comfortably split them into 2 groups of 3, the combat paths and the support paths. The combat paths are obviously the ones better suited for fighting people. These would be the Diva path, the Animal path, and the Asura path. The support paths, meanwhile, aren't really cut out for one-on-one fights, and aren't super threatening on their own, but are incredibly valuable when all 6 paths are fighting as a team. If you took any of these 3 paths, the Human path, the Naraka path, or the Preta path individually, and pit them up against any of the series' mid to low tier fighters, chances are the Path of Pain would probably lose. For example, Konohamaru was able to put the Naraka path out of commission with a single Rasengan. As a matter of fact, at least when compared to Sage Mode Naruto, the only path that seems to be competent on its own is the Diva path. Even the Animal Path and the Asura Path got taken out by individual baseline attacks thrown out by Sage Naruto, and the only one that was able to stay on the battlefield for an extended amount of time was, again, the Diva Path. And it's not like they only went down so easily because they were fighting against Sage Mode Naruto. Kakashi nearly destroyed the Asura Path with a single Raikiri, and Jiraiya destroyed the Animal Path simply by pulling it into his Toad Barrier. Now, the thing is, even though this might make Pain sound kind of weak, durability has never been much of an issue for him. In the event that any of the paths are damaged to the extent that they can no longer fight, as long as they don't end up trapped in an area that's completely inaccessible to Nagato, he can just repair it using the Naraka Path. There are also a lot of things about the Paths of Pain that make up for the fact that they're sort of fragile. First of all, even as individuals, all of them except for the Preta Path are really good at putting out damage quickly enough to kill people. For example, the Asura Path ripped off one of Jiraiya's arms by punching him really hard, and it doesn't even specialize in taijutsu.
I didn't even realize
As a matter
that.
of fact, it seems to me like it's meant to be a mid to long range fighter, since it can shoot people with rocket fists, missiles, and laser beams. These projectiles are, of course, also very deadly, and even though they're not the most lethal tools in Pain's arsenal, they're still literally missiles and laser beams. The Animal Path can just spam the summoning jutsu over and over and over again, and it's not like it pumps out a bunch of low-tier summons like Kakashi's Bloodhounds or whatever. These things are strong. You could honestly make a case for a couple of them being contenders for the best summon in the entire manga, at least aside from the Biju, of course. All of the summons seem to serve a distinct purpose in battle, too. The giant bird, much like Datara's clay dragon, allows Pain to fly through the air. The chameleon that he summons can turn itself invisible, and it can turn anyone it's making physical contact with invisible too.
Holy fuck.
I'm creating my Wix site.
Jesus.
You
Once
think you
again,
already have
I
a
don't
stunning
pay for
website?
Adblock,
That's
so
cool.
my
You're
bad.
welcome to skip. Or
The giant panda seems to be a really effective shield, so on and so forth. From a certain perspective, you could argue that the Human Path and Naraka Path, meanwhile, are the most deadly of the 6 Paths of Pain because they can kill anyone they're fighting just by touching them. To be fair, it is a bit more complicated than that. Like, the Naraka Path has to get somebody in a chokehold first, and then he has to go through this whole interrogation thing before he can actually kill them. And the Human Path does seem to take a little while to rip people's souls out of their bodies. But I mean, if we're not being pedantic about it, then all that really needs to happen for either of these 2 paths to kill somebody is for them to establish physical contact with their target. Finally, you have the Diva Path, and I mean, like, come on, it destroyed Konoha with one attack. It can use Chibaku Tensei. There are plenty of reasons why you wouldn't want to fight this thing one-on-one, and I think a lot of them are already pretty evident without any explanation on my behalf. The second thing that makes up for the relative fragility of the Paths of Pain is that in most cases, you're going to be fighting against all 6 of them at the same time. And like I was just saying, they are all really strong. But just to put how dangerous they are into perspective, with some help from Conan, the 6 Paths of Pain beat everyone in the entire Hidden Leaf Village at the same time. Almost everyone, anyway. The only noteworthy characters who were missing from the village during Pain's invasion were Guy, the members of his team, and Naruto, but that's it. He beat everyone else in the entire village and blew up the whole village, and was still in good enough shape after doing all of this to nearly capture Naruto. And I think Pain would have won the fight against Naruto too, if not for, well, a lot of things. First of all, he would have won the fight if he had been fighting with killer intent. But even setting that aside, he also would have beaten Naruto if not for interference from Hinata, the Ninetales, and even Minato of all people. Finally, the last thing that skewed the fight in Naruto's favor was the fact that he went into it knowing practically everything he would have ever needed to know about Pain. This brings me to the third and final thing that helps make up for the Path's lackluster endurance, and it's how difficult it is to figure out what is and isn't effective against them, especially if you're fighting with no prior knowledge of how the Rinnegan works. Jiraiya's really smart, and he's a fantastic tactician, but he was just completely clueless throughout his entire fight with Pain concerning what he should do or how he should approach them. Every time he thought he was on his way to establishing some sort of advantage, Nagato made use of a new ability that he hadn't shown Jiraiya yet, which kept him in a perpetual state of confusion and led to him making a lot of bad decisions that he wouldn't have made if he had known better. Even with some intel and prep time, we see multiple characters struggle to create or find any many openings in Pain's defenses, such as with Naruto and with Kakashi. Both of them had knowledge on their side when they engaged Pain, but it proved to be almost impossible for them to actually damage him, or at least damage the Diva Path, because of how tight his defenses are and because of how well all 6 paths work together. Their synergy is helped a great deal by the fact that all of them share a field of vision, and this field of vision can be extended with the creatures summoned by the animal path. It also helps that Nagato is very smart and is fully aware of all of Pain's weaknesses. If you watch or read any of the fights he takes part in, you get a clear sense that he's going out of his way to stop his opponents from taking advantage of any weaknesses that they are able to identify. Now, all that said, Nagato's cleverness and the sheer variety and utility present among all of the techniques at his disposal don't really mean anything when he is put up against somebody who is able to overwhelm him with sheer power. Maybe this wouldn't have been the case if Naruto was forced to fight all 6 paths of Pain at the same time, but the Diva Path on its own couldn't really do anything against 6-tailed version 2 Cloak Naruto. This wasn't really true in the anime. The two of them seemed to be going back and forth, and the fight appeared a lot more even, but in the manga, Pain kinda got steamrolled, and things only got worse for him when Naruto entered his 8-tailed form. So this means that there's a clear upper limit to the level of power that Pain can handle. I can't say with confidence exactly what it is, because I'd like to remind everybody that Pain was exhausted when he fought 6-tailed Naruto. It's very possible that if Nagato was at full power and all 6 paths of Pain were present, they could have handled Naruto in this state, but again, it's hard to say with complete certainty. In any case, I think that he's the strongest member of the Akatsuki next to Obito, like I've said in the past, and that there aren't a lot of Naruto characters that could beat a full power Pain. Of course, he's nothing compared to characters like Madara, Hashirama, or even like Minato, and the 6 paths of Pain are also significantly weaker than Nagato was in his prime, but I think Pain is still a real danger to most Naruto characters. I think he could have beaten B, I think he could have beaten anyone present at the 5 Kage Summit, and I certainly think that under normal circumstances he could have beaten Sage Naruto. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about this, so as always, thanks for watching, and until next time, talk to you later. Swag Kage out, bye.
Ooh. Well, that was interesting. I honestly think that Itachi is potentially just as strong, if not a teensy bit stronger than him. I guess if we're going off of the fact that Itachi is kind of faulted by his low stamina, I guess Pain has him beat there. But Itachi's super tactical and super incredibly smart. So I don't really see him losing against Pain. That would be a good fight, a good like match to watch, like Pain versus Itachi. I might play the Naruto Ninja Storm game to kind of play this one out. I mean, I'm trash, so. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below if you agree with this or not. And I don't know, we'll make more videos like this. This is actually pretty fun. So until the next time I see you guys again, take care. Peace.